Welcome to No Movies in Hell. I'm Chris Geiger.
I'm LaClaw Scott, and today we are reviewing The Watchers.
Night Shyamalan's daughter.
That is right, yes.
Going into this, did you think it would be good?
I thought it'd be interesting. Like, I wanted to see it. I went out and saw it. It was a packed theater, surprisingly. Okay. I thought it'd be interesting. It was, M. Night Shyamalan, PG-13, gives more of like a backstory vibe to it. So I thought it was interesting, and then was like, you know what, I should go out and see it before it leaves, because I just feel like not a lot of people are getting out there. How about you? Was this on like your must-see list for the summer?
No. But there were, M. Night Shyamalan for me kind of fell off a cliff. Like, The Sixth Sense, cool. I saw Unbreakable. I thought that was good.
Okay.
Then I feel like I saw a couple things where I was like, and then I stopped. I did end up seeing Signs several years after it released, just at home, because I also leave water glasses in every room of the house. And so Dax thought it would be a good idea for me to watch that movie.
Swing away.
Yeah. So I wasn't really sure, but I relatively positive about this movie because it has one of the Fanning girls in it.
Yeah.
I felt like, she probably wouldn't pick something terrible. So, yeah, it was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. There are many, just like any horror movie, there are many questions that were not answered.
Yeah.
I can bring them up, but it would have spoilers.
There will be spoilers in this review.
Yes. Just her whole lifestyle. Like, she is a pet store employee.
Yeah.
Her boss asked her to take, it doesn't look like this massive pet store, like where they would get lots of exotic animals. And yes, yet they want her to take this bird to a zoo. Like, you have zoo quality animals coming through that pet shop?
In Galway, no less.
And that's how you deliver them? You just give them to one of your employees and they should drive this to the zoo. So that was interesting. And then she's trying to drive down the path. What zoo does she think she's going to? Like, in the middle of what zoo is at the other end of this row? So there were many questions at the beginning where I was like, this doesn't make, okay.
I would have to say, going back to, I guess, M. Night's films, since this was his daughter, I feel like, one, shout out to having a very supportive parent, and being like, I would have to say that this is a great example of, like, she's probably in my top faves of Nepo babies, because I thought this movie was good.
Okay.
I thought, yes, there are some gaps, but for the most part, I think the lore, which I kind of figured out relatively early, what this movie would be about, just based off of certain things. To your point, like, there's a lot of things that kind of don't really jive well in the storytelling, and maybe it's part of a larger. I thought maybe it's part of a larger universe, because even her boss, like, a lot of people she was interacting with in the beginning of the film, their faces actually were not shown. So I was like, wait, like, we don't know what her boss looks like. We don't know what the guy at the bar looks like. We just know the people that she ends up in this cabin in the woods, and it being very isolated, and you have an unreliable narrator that's telling you what to do is very, very questionable.
Great. And I did think it was more, props to the more complex storyline. It was based on a book, so it had to be slightly more complex than I think it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Was going to be more complex than it needed to be. When we got to the point where you realize, like, when they realized that the bunker is underground, spoiler, sorry. So that seemed odd, because when they're watching the videos, like, he sort of alludes to how this is all going to end, for him at least. And then that makes you wonder, well, like, in what condition was this bunker found?
Right. For him to be able to build it, like, and not, like, yeah. there's a lot of like logic things. It's like, okay, so if you're going to build a bunker and you only can do it in daylight, then how do you get it done?
You basically have 13 workers come out every day with you.
Yeah.
And no one asks any questions. But they're highly skilled workers. Like, this is a bunker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody was like looking for them, posters and stuff, but that wasn't enough for people to say, actually, you should stop going out there. And yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it was much more complex than I thought it was going to be going in. So props on that front. Let's go to the slide. So you thought it was good, but you still only gave it a 21.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty good. I mean, you did average. You were just like, you know what? This movie is average. I thought the storytelling was very interesting. I liked that it was a little complex. It was a little long, even though it was 90 minutes. But the twist at the end, I mean, it's not even a twist. The revealings at the end actually could have been sped up a little bit.
Right.
Not going to spoil that, but
no.
The people who make the rules, how do they know? Right. And you just have to trust some people instead of actually seeing things for yourself. And so, yeah, I really didn't classify this as like a horror film. I thought it was more like a thriller because there weren't that many scary elements. It was more or less like unraveling a puzzle. But I still don't see like how that bird got fed. There were very, very many questions, but I knew going in at some point, I was like, okay, I know what this is going to be about. How are they going to get to that point?
Right. So I'm going to spoil it because I can't talk about it without. So in the video, he says, follow the birds.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if you've seen those birds, but they move pretty fast.
Yes, they do. And they're quite scary.
Follow them.
Yeah.
A, on foot. B, if the halfling is able to walk in light because she's a halfling.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be less likely that she would be able to grow wings? Because they were saying like they were trapped underground and they couldn't fly anymore. Like their power was taken away. They couldn't fly anymore. And you would think if she were a halfling, she would have 50% of her makeup is only fairy. And so if 100% fairies couldn't fly anymore because it had like evolution, they had de-evolved and lost that over time, why would she be able to fly at the end? Like that made no sense to me.
Maybe it was because she was a halfling. Like maybe she had spent significant amount of time above ground. So basically she was in the shapeshift of this man's wife. And then it was, well, if I'm enough above ground, then maybe I'll have some type of powers that enable me to use my wings. I just feel like she's not the only one. And also, who is the like father, I guess, or like parent? Who's the human parent? There's a lot of stuff that's unresolved. That would be great, but I guess that depends on how well this movie does. And I think that this movie is competing for space against other things that have done well in the previous weeks. So hopefully this does well enough to like explain the backstory, because one thing I appreciate, and then I kind of feel like it takes away from the storytelling, and maybe it's budgetary. I have no idea, but all this stuff is revealed in voiceover as a character is talking through the logic of this man had me go back to the university, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, the woman didn't try, like on the bus, the woman did not try to stop her. She mentioned it twice in the bunker and on the bus. It's like, oh, I'm going to go back to the university. If she didn't want to be found out, then the woman would have tried to stop her right then and there instead of trying to kill her at the other woman's house. So that was a loophole for me. It was like the intent on finding out the history and then finding this woman and these old pictures. And then it was the confrontation.
Also, if you were Kira and you had lost your husband, like you had just been in this sort of like harrowing experience. Like you were basically kept prisoner by these beings in a cabin in the woods. You had to like go out every day and forage for your food. Your husband left. He's dead, you're pretty sure.
Yeah.
And yet you just come home to your big scary glass house. Like
Yeah. Yes.
it's like, but that looks so much like the house you were just trapped in. I would just maybe go someplace else. Like maybe I need to stay with my friend for a while. I would
You
just
know,
like, hey, just go home. Throw my kids in
in
a bowl.
in that moment, I seriously thought, oh, she's probably one of them as well. Because it just didn't sit well, to your point. And they're talking in the dark and everything. And it's like, no, turn a light on, turn the close down the windows, find a hotel. Like, yeah, it was just it was a little unsettling. If you've been away from your home, kidnapped, and away from your home for at least 9 months, 8 months, 9 months, and then you don't have your husband, you're coming back and you're just same routine in the dark. Absolutely not.
It doesn't really explain how your life gets back to it. Like, did they not miss you at work?
Yes.
Or wherever
Yep.
you were like going normally before you were abducted? Like
No family has reached out to you. Yeah.
Right.
Like your employer wasn't like, oh, she's missing, her husband's missing. Yeah. It's very odd.
Yeah. Do you have anything to plug in this episode?
Lots of fun summer movies coming out. Definitely looking forward to Maxine. I think I mentioned that in the last couple episodes, but I am very excited for that film. Excited for, is it Longlegs? It's like the Nicolas Cage like horror film that's coming out.
Oh, I feel like that sounds familiar, but I can't picture it.
Yeah, I've only seen like a poster of it, and I'm like, oh, this looks like it has a house in the background and it has like snow and it just says Longlegs. I have no idea.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like there's interesting stuff. I just got HBO Max, so like rolling through some stuff, but like I'm also like saving some stuff for like when I can pay attention. So I just, on the topic of things I can watch kind of while I'm doing other things, is I just finished season 1 of The Outsider.
Okay.
Which was really good, and I looked it up online. There's not going to be season 2, it sounds like. So yeah, so I hope that that's wrong, or at some point they come back with a season 2. But it was really good. And I'm looking forward to Hacks. But I need to like set aside time to watch it. So I don't know when that will be, but it's on my list.
Okay. That's good. I feel like there's a lot of really great shows on HBO and movies. But yeah, Hacks is definitely one I think you'll like a lot. Have you seen the Watchmen? Or I guess you just got HBO, but like the Watchmen, they did a TV series on HBO a couple years ago.
Yes, I did see that one because back then Netflix was sending out discs and I could watch it that way. So I did. It was good. Also, like I'm going to probably watch True Detective season 2 kind of on the background. Like that'll be a background.
The latest one is really good with Jodie Foster.
So watch that too.
And yeah, Los Spookies and Phantasmas with Julio Torres is really, really good.
Yes, so much stuff.
Yeah. Just, take your time.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.